Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Crystalline. Now, the last time we played... Holy crap. Okay. Why do I have so many save files? Okay, I think this was the end, right? Yes. Okay, yes. Right, because we had made camp. Okay, that's right. That's where I paused it. Okay. Moving on now. As we've done in all of our past trainings, Zach, Kara, and Amelia take care of the setup, while Leanna and I find an open area to train. I still dread whenever it's time to train, as I haven't shown any progress. It's starting to feel like a useless chore at this point.
Ready?
I reluctantly nod.
All right. Just like we've practiced, focus on channeling through the manipulator.
As I've done so many times before, I try to do exactly what Leanna says. Just like all of my previous attempts, it doesn't work.
You've got this. You just have to focus.
I'm focusing. I strain with all of my might, simultaneously trying to figure out what exactly I'm supposed to be focusing on, and wondering if this is all actually bogus anyway. Leanna watches me intently, waiting for the spark of magic which doesn't appear. I let go and breathe out in frustration.
Try again.
Have we considered the possibility that only humans from Terra can cast? Leanna's voice is firm.
Just try again.
With a heavy sigh, I bring up my hand again and try again. As is expected, nothing happens. This is completely pointless. I lower my hand. Maybe I'm just not meant to cast. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind pushes me off my feet and knocks me to the ground. Oof! Leanna glares at me, a fierce look on her face.
Get up!
I cough as I catch my breath and push myself to my feet. What the hell? Leanna raises her arm again.
Deflect this!
Oh gosh. What does she mean by deflect? I can't use my sword to stop a gust of wind. I end up taking another hit and sway unsteadily on my feet.
I said deflect!
I balk at the sternness in her tone. Her entire demeanor has changed from a calm and patient teacher to a dangerous mage knight. What's gotten into you? She ignores me and aims another shot of magic. This time I jump out of the way, but she is relentless. She lines up another shot. I don't know what you mean by deflect. Leanna sends another gust after me, which I only narrowly dodge. Before I can get my bearings, another shot of magic comes at me. And then another. Would you just... And another. Hold on! And another. My breathing is short and anger warms my blood. She's shooting off wind blasts so quickly I don't have time to think or move. Her attacks are relentless and keep knocking me down. Another gust of wind soars towards me. Leanna, stop! I take that blast, and although it's just as powerful as the others, this time I maintain my footing.
That's not deflecting.
She frowns in concentration as she ramps up another attack. Then she lets loose another gust of wind. I try to block it with my arms, but this blast is stronger than the last, and it hurls me into the air. I crash painfully on the ground, but force down the pain and get back onto my feet. My breathing is ragged, and my body is sore. Leanna is already channeling another attack! I don't know what's gotten into her, but I can't keep taking these hits. As she launches another attack, the anger bubbles inside of me and boils over. I throw out my hand and feel the anger shoot down my arm and out of my glowing manipulator in a gust of wind which knocks the blast away. Leanna gasps and drops her attacks.
You did it!
I stare at my arm, too bewildered to even comprehend what is happening. Suddenly, Leanna is laughing loudly. As things calm down, I notice the rest of the group is already here. They must have heard the commotion.
He casted?
Leanna grins broadly.
He did! He finally cast!
That's amazing!
That wind magic. It came from me. The realization slowly dawns on me. I casted that. My eyes grow wide, and I split into a huge grin. Yes! I can't believe I did it! Leanna's grinning from ear to ear. Even Zack cracks a small smile and nods. Amelia watches us curiously.
I assume you used the technique which we had previously discussed.
Wait, what? Leanna looks sheepish and refuses to make eye contact. What technique? The high from my casting begins to wear off, and I remember the mix of anger and confusion I felt from the attacks. You mean you guys thought it would be a good idea to randomly just start attacking me? Leanna shakes her head, looking a mixture of worried and guilty. Amelia calmly responds.
Indeed.
I didn't expect her to so bluntly agree. Why?
You were making no progress on your training, and I believed a new strategy was necessary. One such method is to utilize the ingrained need for survival. When placed in high stress, dangerous situations, the human body will use all its resources to ensure survival. By putting you in such a situation, your response to protect yourself enabled you to tap into the manipulator and channel energy.
I consider what Amelia said. Everything happened so fast, but once I realized there was no way to talk my way out of Leanna's attacks, I knew there was only one way out.
I'm really sorry. Amelia felt this was the best way for you to learn since you didn't seem to be getting it my way.
She trails off.
I hope I wasn't too hard on you.
While not ideal, I can understand why she did what she did, and I won't blame her for it. After all, it did work. It's okay, I understand. You were just trying to help me. Leanna nods.
Thanks for understanding. I'm really glad it worked. I would have felt even worse if it didn't.
So, what now? Should I try it again?
Are you feeling up to it? If you need to take a break, we can do that.
I think I should be okay. As the words leave my mouth, my arm stings and I feel a wet spot on my elbow. When I look down, I notice blood on my shirt. Leanna gasps.
You're bleeding!
I twist my arm, trying to see the damage. You don't say.
Hold on, I brought bandages.
It's really no big deal. She races back to camp and grabs a roll of gauze from her pack. When she returns, she kneels beside me and reaches for my arm. I move my arm out of her grasp. I'm okay, really. This is just a scratch. Based on the level of bleeding, I can tell it's a bit more than a scratch. So can Leanna. She shakes her head.
It's my fault you got hurt.
Without taking no for an answer, she grabs my arm and takes a look. This time I don't bother resisting. Gently, she dabs at the blood with a damp cloth. I try not to wince from the sting.
I'm sorry. I'll try to be gentle.
You're fine. Her hands are warm and delicate, and for a moment I forget what she's doing and can only feel her touch. Her gentle fingers deftly wrap the gauze around my arm. After she secures it, she lets her hands fall back in her lap. I feel a split second of disappointment as I let my own arm fall beside me.
There, good as new.
Oh. Kiss it better, please. Now, let's just go with thanks. I move my arm back and forth experimentally. The gauze holds pretty well. Thanks. She smiles warmly.
No problem.
I get to my feet and we return to camp. After we've all had a chance to eat and relax, we get ready for bed. For once, as soon as I lay down my head, exhaustion overtakes me and I fall right to sleep. We wake up the next morning and continue our travels. After my last burst of magic, I've tried to replicate that feeling of casting. Although I'm finally seeing improvement, I still can't cast as well as I hope. The result of my casting is just a weak tendril of magic, but at least it's something. Leanna's spirits have been lifted too, and she continues my training with renewed enthusiasm. A couple of days pass before the trees become denser as we reach the woods. We must be on the right track. At first, the walk is easy as the trees line a well-worn path. But the deeper into the forest we traverse, the more careful we become of our step, as the wild undergrowth tangles our legs. The pongo wobbles unsteadily over the roots and debris on the ground, then hops onto my shoulder. The canopy overhead thickens, blocking out much of the sunlight. Leanna glances uneasily around her. Noticing Leanna, Zack glances around too and becomes grave.
I think we stumbled into the Forest of Grieving.
Leanna balks.
Grieving?
The pongo looks concerned.
Boy?
Zack nods. Kara looks curiously at Zack, then watches Leanna gaze suspiciously around her. She seems to put two and two together and grins mischievously.
Isn't that the one with all the trapped souls?
Leanna's eyes widen and her voice trembles.
Trapped souls?
My eyes widen. This forest is haunted too? Why is every forest haunted? Zack and Kara share a glance and hide a smile. What? What is it?
Do you want to know why they're trapped?
Leanna vigorously shakes her head.
Nope, I do not want to know. In fact, none of us want to know.
Amelia puts her hands on her hips.
Evidently, Zack, you were misinformed, as there is no such place as the Forest of Grieving.
No, there definitely is a Forest of Grieving. Right, Kara?
Absolutely.
If that is true, it is certainly not here.
Leanna pouts, her face bright red.
You guys are the worst.
She rushes closer to Amelia and pointedly ignores Zack and Kara, who pretend to hide their amusement. The pongo shoots the two of them dirty looks.
Poi. That's right, Pongo.
She scoops him into her arms and hugs him into her chest. The pongo doesn't protest. We continue to walk in silence. As we venture further within the forest, the air feels thick and heavy. The canopy thins out, but the trees themselves have knotted and thick bark, making them seem very old. They brighten with an ethereal blue-green luminescence. Does anyone else feel that? The pongo squirms in Leanna's grasp and hops out before exploring the forest.
This place is loaded with magical energy.
Is that why it's glowing?
The natural formation of crystals is what gives it its coloration.
Ah, of course. I take my time admiring the natural beauty of the place. It feels like a scene from a fairy tale. Peeking out from behind a tree is a small pink pongo. My pongo hops over to her, and when she realizes she's been spotted, she hops out into view and tilts her head curiously.
Boy?
The pink pongo looks over at Leanna and gives her a wide grin. Leanna gasps as it hops closer to her.
How cute!
She reaches out toward the pink pongo, who hops into her arms.
Aw, she likes me!
Leanna squeals excitedly and hugs her close. Another pongo peeks out from behind a bush and hops over to Leanna. Her grin grows even wider. She opens her arms and the pongo hops in, much to Leanna's delight.
Another Pongo! Boy! What?
Even more pongos pop out from behind the trees and bushes and begin to surround Leanna, who watches them with joy.
So many Pongos!
Aww! She reaches out to all of them and they each openly receive her affection.
Boy?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This seems like a little much here, guys. The chorus of poise increase as even more emerge, and soon even Leanna is overwhelmed by the sheer number of pongos. Look at this scene. This is adorable. Zack stands as close to the edge of the trees as possible, and as far away from the pongos as possible. His hands hover protectively over his dischargers as he eyes the pongos suspiciously. Amelia moves from pongo to pongo, seemingly studying the variations. Kara joins in and plays with the pongos closest to her. As even more pongos filter out into the clearing, Leanna's eyes fill with tears.
Too many pongos!
Oh my god, woman, get a grip on yourself. Oh no. Leanna, are you okay? Her smile is still as wide as ever as she kneels on the ground, holding as many pongos as she can in her arms. But the tears continue to flow. She speaks between sobs.
I can't hug them all!
Kara comes over and puts a comforting arm around her.
It's okay. Just hug as many as you can.
Leanna sniffles and nods. My pongo looks up at me with a wondering gaze. I'll stay by my pongo, it's fine. I look down at him and smile. Don't worry, you're the only pongo I need. You jealous fool. He beams and hops into my arms, then nuzzles me affectionately. From among the pongos emerges a pongo larger than the others. He has a twist of leaves which he wears around his head, and as he passes, all the other pongos seem to settle down in reverence. He pauses in front of Leanna.
Boy,
Leanna blinks.
boy.
Oh gosh. That was a long string of poise. We come in poise. Let Leanna do the talking. She seems to be the expert on pongo stuff. I certainly have no idea what's going on. My pongo steps up to the larger pongo and speaks in a series of poise.
Boy.
The larger pongo seems surprised, then nods.
Boy.
This is awful, guys. This is completely awful here.
Boy.
He turns around and hops deeper into the forest. My pongo faces us.
Boy.
He tilts his head to indicate the forest, then follows the larger pongo. Should we follow them? Zack shrugs, but Leanna nods.
Yeah, I think we should. At the very least, we can't leave him.
I mean, we can.
What if he's leading us to danger?
Yeah, what then, Leanna? What then?
It would seem that the other pongos respect the larger pongo. He may be the equivalent of a king or other authority figure. If he wished us harm, we would already know.
Besides, the most harm a pongo can do is cuddle us.
We better get a move on before we lose them. We follow the pongos further into the forest. Some of the other pongos tag along, popping in and out of the trees. I've never seen so many pongos in one place before. What are they all doing here? Eventually, we stop in front of a crumbling stone structure.
Boy.
The pongo leader nods.
Boy.
It would seem the pongos have escorted us to the temple we seek.
Aw, how did they know? Can they understand us?
More than likely, our pongo friend inquired as to the reason for the migration of so many pongos in one area. He must have been curious about their source of energy, which just happens to be the Earth Temple.
I narrow my eyes at Amelia. This seems very coincidental. Do you speak Pongo?
No, but that rationale should be common sense.
Should it, though? Should it really? Zack snorts, then tries to cover it up. I look back at the temple. It clearly hasn't been touched in a long time, and half of it is falling apart. Is it safe to go in there? Kara seems excited.
Only one way to find out.
She marches towards the temple.
But what about the pongos? Won't they be upset?
Especially considering we intend to absorb the energy.
The temples were built over areas of naturally high concentrations of energy, so the temples continuously amass energy at an accelerated rate. Therefore, the amount which we will absorb will be replenished fast enough to not adversely affect the Pongo's ecosystem.
Why don't people live near these pockets of continuous energy?
The only energy we are able to manipulate is extracted from crystals. This form of energy, which resides in the air, cannot be manipulated or absorbed by humans.
She pauses.
Humans of Terra, that is. In contrast, Pongos are able to absorb all forms of energy, including airborne.
Huh. I see. Either way, it sounds like the Pongos will be okay. Leanna nods, and we follow Kara. The Pongos make no move to stop us, but continue to watch us curiously.
Come on!
We approach the temple's entrance. The temple structure, at least what remains of it, reminds me of the one from the Fire Temple. It's built with an open front, and I can see where the altars may have stood in the past. Now, it's just weathered stone. The columns are still holding up, but I watch them precariously, untrusting of their stability. Vibrant green moss camouflages the gray stones. I have to admit, the view is quite impressive. Kara takes the lead and steps carefully on the stones, obviously testing for traps. The rest of us hang back and let her explore without distraction. Leanna holds onto the Pongo, who seems eager to explore with Kara. After circling through the temple, she returns to us, perplexed.
Based on the design of the Fire Temple, I figured the Earth Temple would have more traps. Or even just one trap, but I found 0.
Huh.
Then we should definitely stay on our guard.
Are you doubting my abilities?
No! I just meant...
Kara giggles.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Zek grumbles and crosses his arms. Amelia steps up to the temple and starts to have a careful look around. The rest of us slowly filter in too. The Pongo hops out of Leanna's arms and bounces excitedly into the temple. Amy fidgets with her manipulator, much to the curiosity of Leanna.
What are you checking?
I am searching for any anomalies in these magical readings. The barrier from the last temple resonated a unique signature. If such a thing were to exist here as well, it is highly likely to lead us to the Earth Elemental.
Kara shakes her head in wonder.
I still can't believe the elementals are real.
I wouldn't jump so fast to that conclusion.
Seriously? Did you forget about our journey to the Fire Temple?
I didn't. But I don't remember me or the rest of you seeing the fire elemental. Except him.
Well, howdy! Thanks for calling me a liar, jerk. Zach gives me a pointed look.
He wouldn't have a reason to lie about it.
Exposure to large quantities of magical energy can potentially cause hallucinations. There have been documented cases of such events transpiring.
Thanks, Amelia. She wasn't a hallucination. She was definitely real. Doesn't her transferring energy to me count as proof?
Your absorption of magic and the existence of elementals is not a casual relation.
I thought you'd be the one most likely to believe me.
I do give credence to your anecdote in which you believe to have seen the fire elemental. However, more evidence is required to turn that anecdote into a fact.
She continues to attentively monitor her manipulator.
There appears to be a strange pattern regarding energy distribution.
Oh yeah? A sudden rumble from above breaks our attention. The rocks shift precariously, then crack and come crashing down above me.
Look out!
Leanna tackles us both out of the way just as the rock smashes down, leaving a heavy split in the stones on the ground. I land hard and my body erupts in aches.
Are you okay?
Leanna props herself up on top of me and peers down with a worried look.
Sorry. I channeled my wind energy into reaching you in time, and I didn't even think about softening the landing.
I stare at her. You just saved my life and you're apologizing over something like that? Leanna looks a little surprised, but then she lets out a smile. Are you okay?
Yeah, thankfully the brunt of my fall was broken by...
Her voice trails off and her cheeks redden when she realizes she's straddling me. She quickly picks herself up. Aw, I actually didn't mind us being like that. I wince as I carefully push myself to my feet. Leanna's attention is on the mountain of rocks sectioning us off from the rest of the team.
Hey! Can you guys hear us?
Kara's voice is muted from the other side of the rock wall. We're fine. What happened?
The structure collapsed from the instability of the ruins. I would advise caution moving forward.
Oi, boy.
The Pongo's voice is very small. Pongo!
Don't worry. He's safe here with us.
Speaking of moving, how are we gonna get these stones moved?
Stand to the side. I'll move them with my magic.
Leanna motions me to move back and I comply. Her gauntlet flickers to life as she channels her wind energy. At first, the rocks refuse to budge, but Leanna keeps trying. Sweat beads on her face as she concentrates, but even after a few more attempts, she's unable to move any of the rocks to break the wall.
I can't seem to move any of the stones.
The frustration is evident in her voice. It's weird that she can't move any of the stones at all. I hear some shuffling on the other end, and I assume it's Amy using her manipulator to scan.
Interesting. It appears these are no ordinary stones. They are shielded with magic.
What does that mean?
The magic they are shielded with are dampening any other outside magical efforts.
Huh.
That's not good.
However, in light of this new information, I am able to adjust the type of reading necessary to override the wall's magic block. By doing so, I am able to plot out the navigation of this temple as the ruins emit energy. Based on our current locale, our paths will converge in a short time if we move further in.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Let's get going then.
Leanna and I look at each other and nod. We start heading in the direction Amy provided. We stick close together and keep a cautious eye on our surroundings. Leanna periodically checks her manipulator. Looking for something?
I'm following Amy's energy signature to make sure we're both going in the same direction. So far, we're still on the right path, and should be converging with them soon enough.
That's good. I put my hands behind my head. Hey, I forgot to thank you earlier for saving me. Thanks. Leanna smiles.
You did the same for me.
Huh?
Raven Pass, remember? When we fought the treasurer.
Oh, that. I guess so, but I only pushed you out of the way back then. In hindsight, I probably should have also dived out of the way too, instead of, eating the blast full force.
Moving out of the way would have been a better idea, but it was heroic nonetheless.
Aw, thanks. Leanna smirks.
Besides, you find yourself in trouble so often that saving you has kind of become second nature.
Wow. Wow, Leanna. Wow, rude. Leanna giggles. She seems to be in better spirits as we continue traveling. We turn a corner and find ourselves in a slightly open area. I notice a bit of movement from the corner of my eyes, but when I look over, all I see are the same mossy vines which were covering the entrance of the temple too. That's strange.
The energy reading here is higher than usual.
What's up? Leanna goes to draw her sword.
It's not dormant like everywhere else. I'm scanning active energy here.
Before I can react, vines shoot up from the stones of the ruins and converge straight towards Leanna. She gasps and attempts to swing at the incoming vines, but there are too many of them. As they entangle her limbs, she loses the grip on her sword, and it clatters to the ground.
What is this?
Oh, that's gotta hurt. They've got thorns and everything. For some reason, the vines only target Leanna and have kept a berth around me. Maybe the trap was only sensitive to energy manipulation? Thankfully, I wasn't casting. Leanna struggles to break free in vain as the vines lift her off the ground.
Help me down!
I pull out my sword, but the vines twist and tangle around each other, which makes Leanna a moving target too. The last thing I want to do is accidentally cut her as I'm trying to cut the vines. It might be best that I wait, right? Let's see where this goes. No, let's help free her. I dash forward, and with skillful precision, slice down the vines. As my sword cuts through the vines, they writhe and shrink away from Leanna until she's able to wiggle free. Unfortunately, more vines emerge and head straight for me. I cut them up as they approach, but there are too many of them, and I struggle to keep up. Just as the vines are about to encircle me, I spot the familiar glow of a blade carving trails of light through the vines. Leanna is a blur as she methodically slices the vines with an accuracy and speed I strive to mimic. Before long, all of the vines lay in motionless pieces on the ground. Well then.
This never happened. Got it?
She glares at me despite her burning cheeks. Yes, ma'am. I definitely didn't save you from some kind of tentacle creature.
Let's hurry up and get going then.
Leanna doesn't wait for me as she continues down the path. I jog to catch up with her. Leanna is extra cautious and keeps her blade at the ready as we continue down the path. Thankfully, without further incident, we spot the rest of the group waiting for us on a converging path.
You guys made it!
Boy!
The pongo bounces over to me and leaps into my arms. Hey, buddy. Kara beams and waves us over. She blinks when she gets a better look at us.
Whoa, did something happen?
Leanna clears her throat as a subtle pink tinges her cheeks.
Nothing at all. Isn't that right?
She shoots me a warning glare. Right. Nothing. Kara looks back and forth between us and then grins.
Oh, I get it. I mean, you two were alone after all.
Leanna's cheeks flare.
No, it's not what you're thinking.
Kara winks.
Right. Nothing happened.
Leanna mumbles something incoherent as she pushes past Kara.
What is with everyone's overly active imaginations today?
The group looks to me for answers. Yeah, nothing happened. Let's get going.
I concur. It would be advisable not to spend any more time than necessary here.
All right, let's go.
Boy.
Uh-huh. Don't worry about it. The pongo shrugs as he hops onto my head. With Leanna leading the way, we continue moving forward. We continue down the path of the Earth Temple. Uh-oh. Okay, click the icons in the displayed order. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Ha, cha, ha, ya! Ha, 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 ah! There we go. See, guys? I can do a thing or two. We finally make it to the core of the temple. The center of the temple is a lot different than the rest of the place. For one, it's not crumbling apart. Birds flitter across the sky and there is lush greenery all around. Sitting in the middle of the garden is a beautiful woman. Aww. Her dress is the same green as the plants, and there's something about her that feels warm, inviting, and alive. The sounds and voices of my friends fade away as I'm filled with the tranquility and beauty of nature surrounding me. She raises her hand, and at her touch, I feel a sense of calm and peace. Just like at the fire temple, I can feel the revitalizing effect of the energy absorption. The more energy I absorb, the more translucent the elemental becomes, until with a small smile, she disappears. Slowly, the scenic nature view fades from my senses, and I'm pulled back to the crumbling ruins of the temple and the curious faces of my friends. Amy and Leanna hover by me as the pongo looks up at me from the ground.
Boy?
His pupil dilation is returning to normal.
Are you feeling okay? You completely zoned out there.
I nod. I still feel dazed as the remnants of tranquility begin to fade.
Did you see the Earth Elemental?
I did. This time, though, it felt different. When the energy was channeling into me at the fire temple, I felt a rush of passion and strength. This time I felt more of a sense of peace and calmness.
I can confirm you did absorb a substantial quantity of energy. However, your mention of feeling emotions based on absorbing differing elemental energy is quite fascinating. It is something which has never been reported before, given that humans of Terra cannot absorb energy. Once your senses have fully returned to normal, I would appreciate discussing in greater detail what exactly you experienced during the actual absorption of energy.
Sure, we can talk about it later. Where are Zack and Kara? As if on cue, the two of them appear, each holding bags filled with what I would assume is whatever loot could be found.
Don't mind us. We just went on a little all-you-can-grab treasure buffet.
She grins and opens her pouch to hand something to Amy.
Here, I found this.
She hands Amelia an ancient tomb.
I figured you might be interested in this sort of thing.
Amy carefully turns the pages of the book with great interest.
This is written in ancient Gaian script, a language of which I have studied, but of which I am not fluent.
Okay. Okay, I guess she's not going to say the last sentence. It will take me some time to translate it, using my references, but the content should be most academic. She smiles at Kara.
Thank you.
Kara pats her on the head.
You're most welcome.
A rumble above interrupts us. We all tense up and go on high alert, but no rock slide occurs this time.
It looks like we got everything we need from here. Let's head out before another cave-in blocks our exit.
We all agree, and still on high alert, make our way out of the temple as quickly as we can. We make it out of the temple and back into the forest. The sunlight shimmers through the trees, making me wince and blink. Leanna lets out a deep, relieved breath.
We made it.
Yes, we did.
Now that we have successfully made it through the temple, let us not forget our purpose for coming here.
We look at Amelia with curiosity. She gestures to me.
His energy reading has increased substantially. Perhaps it is now possible for him to open a temporal rift.
You want to try that now? A grin spreads across Amelia's
Indeed.
face. Oh, jeez. This place is pretty barren. I suppose we can try it here. Kara blinks.
Oh, you're doing that again.
She shuffles away, and away, and away, until she's behind a tree.
Keeping watch again?
You know it.
Zack creates a bit of distance too, but not as much as Kara. Leanna and Amelia look at me.
Are you ready?
Kara's voice is far away.
Wait!
She races back, scoops up the pongo, who gives a little squeak of protest, then sprints back to her tree. Finally, she gives a thumbs up.
Okay, good to go.
All right, let's try it. Just do what you did last time, except now you can focus and channel your energy.
Amelia, who is standing beside her, nods. I close my eyes, and I try to focus on creating a rift. I bring up in my mind the images of what I saw when I first entered Terra. I inhale and exhale slowly, as I try to draw in on that peace I felt when I met the Earth Elemental. I remember the scent of wildflowers, the fluttering of birds, and the creaking of trees. It fills me with a soft, gentle calm that spreads throughout the rest of my body. An odd, tranquil stillness fills my mind.
Keep going. Visualize your cast.
My brows furrow. I see a dark shape peeling away at the sky. And suddenly, a hot surge of energy flashes down my arm. There's a loud crack followed by a hiss. I open my eyes. A churning wind pours out of my manipulator and swirls about the dirt and grass. The trees groan and sway. I try to keep the wind stable, but it's just too strong. The muscles within my arms strain with effort. The wind whips about Leanna's hair and clothes. My cast is more powerful than before, but still unrefined.
You are nervous and panicking. Ease your mind and calm yourself.
Right. Don't panic. Don't panic. Where's my towel? My heart lurches. Anxiety coils in my stomach.
You may stop now.
I do as she said. The wind snarls and then smooths to a gentle breeze. The last bit of it skims through the grass and then vanishes, quick as a butterfly flutter. My arms dangle at my sides. They feel as if they're being pulled down by heavy weights. I take in deep breaths, my heart still pounding. I cringe and look up at the two. How did I do? Leanna hesitates.
That was...
Yeah, not good.
A failure.
Amelia!
Amy blinks in surprise.
Is that not what you're going to say? He was unable to create the rift.
Leanna sighs and crosses her arms.
He did better than his first try. He actually cast something this time.
Amelia blinks again.
I see. I suppose there was some improvement.
She taps her chin in thought.
I believe your magic training should involve bettering your accuracy and honing your focus. At this point, we are still unsure if the inability to create the rift is from your lack of energy or technique.
Right. I puff out a defeated sigh. It seems that I still have a long way to go.
Hey, where did Zach go?
Huh? I look up. Zach isn't anywhere in sight. That's weird. I glance around. Deep in the forest, I see a rustle of something black. I squint. Maybe it's Zach's trench coat. I zero in on it to see Zach and Kara peeking behind the same tree. Hey, when did you get all the way back there? Zach's voice is faint.
You couldn't control it. No way was I gonna stand there if you went splat. This coat is not easy to clean.
My jaw gives a little tweak. Thanks for the vote of confidence. Kara grins and claps her hands. She shouts for us to hear her.
You put on quite the show. Glad I wasn't there for it, though.
Leanna frowns.
Okay, it's done now. Can you guys come back?
Kara skips over. Zach follows with his arms crossed.
So, where to next?
According to Elderism's notes, Ellendale is the closest city located to where the ancient people worshipped the air elemental. I believe we will be able to uncover more information from the library there.
Kara smiles and ruffles Amy's hair.
Sounds great, Amy.
Amelia flushes. She coughs and then glances away.
Let us be on our way.
We hike out of the forest and find a new path. Amy leads us north, and we begin traveling on foot for the rest of the day. My legs ache, and by the time the sun starts to disappear, I'm ready to collapse. Maybe I'm still feeling the effects from trying to cast earlier, but all of this walking is making me even more exhausted than usual. We keep walking until we find a good campsite. Leanna says the large open space would be a good place for me to practice my wind magic in the morning. Amelia sparks a small campfire for us. Zach cooks up another delicious dinner, and by the time I'm done, I can barely keep my eyes open. The rest of the group is still up and talking, but as soon as I lay my head down, I tumble into a deep and fast sleep. The next day, Leanna and I get up bright and early. We decide to practice sparring before the others wake up. Our swords clash with a score of heavy blows. Leanna forces me backwards with a huge grin on her face. I'm breathing hard and struggling to keep up as my brows knit in concentration. Leanna sweeps my blade aside and comes back around, but I swing in time to deflect it. Her face brightens and she seems pleasantly surprised.
Wow, that's great! You're getting much better.
Really? Leanna's grin turns devilish.
Hi-ya!
She lunges, and I let out a sharp cry, barely raising my sword in time. Her movements quicken as she strikes harder. I struggle to keep up, but I manage to hold my own. Ultimately, Leanna's final move knocks me to the ground. But obviously it's her final move. I mean, she wouldn't keep going after she's already won. I groan, blinking up at the sky. It's hard to breathe with the wind knocked out of me. Are our spars always going to end like this? Leanna's face appears over mine. She smiles brightly.
That was so much better.
I lost yet again, though.
This time. But you're getting stronger and stronger every time.
Aw, that cheers me up a little. Leanna extends her hand and helps me up.
Let's switch gears. You've been doing really well with sparring, so we should practice your magic training. You need to learn to refine your cast.
I know she's right, so I nod. I'm feeling more confident about it now that I know I can cast. I think back on the countless previous training sessions and the frustrations that came with it. Even though I know I still have much to learn before I reach anywhere near Leanna's level, I'm just glad to be past those early stages.
Alright, practice channeling your energy through your manipulator. And this time, keep your focus on where you want to cast.
Absolutely not. Probably shouldn't be doing this one either. Focus on a rock. My attention lasers in on a nearby rock. How do I want to do this? Power overwhelming. I close my eyes and focus. That familiar energy whooshes down my arm, but this time it courses too fast. A blast shoots through my manipulator and sends several rocks flying into the air.
Oh!
The muscles in my hand are strained with effort as I try to keep the rocks up. Several of them drop to the ground with dull thuds. The largest stone stays hovering in the air, but it's shaking. I pour out more energy trying to keep it steady. It only sends the rock flying higher and higher. Leanna extends her hand. The rock stops trembling. She brings everything back under control, making the rock levitate perfectly.
That was a little too much energy, but not bad.
Leanna looks around and points at a large rock.
Try again on this rock.
I take a deep breath, clearing my mind, and cast again. As usual, a solid gust of wind bursts forth, and I steadily float the rock in the air. Leanna claps her hands together, a wide grin on her face.
Yes, that's it.
Hey, I'm doing it! The pongo glances at the floating rock curiously. In one motion, he jumps right onto the rock. The movement startles me and the rock jolts in midair. The pongo wobbles precariously, and I can feel the nerves set in again as I fight to steady the rock.
It's okay. Don't panic. Just keep your focus. Try to float them towards you.
Alright. It's just heavier now, so I had to adjust my energy output. I breathe in and out and refocus. The rock stops swaying.
Good. Keep going.
A strong breeze wisps around the pongo, keeping him in place. I close my eyes and picture him floating closer.
You got this.
I open my eyes. The rock with the pongo floats closer and closer. A huge grin blooms across my face. It's working! The pongo jumps from the rock onto my head. As soon as the pongo touches me, I lose my concentration and drop the rock. Leanna giggles.
Great job.
The pongo wiggles on top of my head. Thanks for being a good sport. Leanna giggles as I pat the pongo.
I think that's enough training for today. You've made great progress.
Aw, thanks. I can feel the fatigue start to set in, and I'm grateful to Leanna for ending the session.
Let's go rejoin the group.
Yeah, they should all be awake by now, I think. Leanna nods, and the three of us return to camp. As I predicted, everyone else is awake and even have breakfast prepared. After we eat and clean up camp, we resume our journey. After a couple of days' travel, we continue our journey to... After a couple of days' travel, we continue to journey along the path when I notice thick clouds darken the sky. Kara and Leanna cast worried glances above as a loud crack of thunder roils above.
This does not look promising.
It's just a storm.
We should find shelter. We don't want to be caught in this storm.
Amelia cross-references where we are with Elder Issam's notes.
We are still quite a ways from Allendale.
Then we'd better stop at the next city we see.
I think I have an idea of where we are. If I recall correctly, Wolfston should only be a few hours' travel. We can stop there.
Well, that sounds like a safe town. Let's go. Once agreed, we pick up the pace to combat the strengthening wind, whipping at us, and make course for Wolf's Den. Eventually, we see the tall towers of Wolf's Den. We shuffle through the city gates, casting worried glances at the ominous sky. The turbulent clouds don't look any less threatening. People keep their heads down as they push past each other on the streets. They must be looking for shelter from the storm. I look at the surrounding buildings. Most are storefronts which blend into each other as if trying to stay as inconspicuous as possible. That's always what a store wants to do, you know? Try to blend in, make sure you don't notice that it's there. Yeah. This is good strats here. As we travel deeper into the town, a few opulent buildings loom in the sky. I guess that's where the better half lives. Leanna shifts uncomfortably.
Is it just me, or are people staring at us?
Looking around, I notice all the furtive glances towards Leanna, as people give us a wide berth in passing.
No, they're staring at you.
Thanks, Zach. Zach's comment seems to make her even more anxious. Well, I feel like this might go poorly. I step closer to her to try to block her from view. She blinks in surprise and gives me a small smile.
Thanks, but I'm not sure how much that will help.
Maybe it will discourage them from staring.
When you remember what kind of town Wolfston is, it's no surprise everyone is staring at her.
I give Kara a questioning look. And what sort of town is it?
Let's just say that what happens in Wolfston stays in Wolfston.
Leanna covers the sigil on her manipulator with one hand.
Maybe this isn't the best place for me to be advertising that I'm a part of the Mage Guild.
Zach nods.
Agreed. You're making them nervous.
The stairs remind me of when I first arrived in Meadow Hill. Should we find you a change of clothes to blend in more?
That is a satisfactory suggestion, but perhaps it should be executed without the presence of Leanna. The longer she is in the streets, the more attention she draws.
Good point. Let's hurry up and find the inn. Leanna can stay there, and I'll help her find a more suitable outfit.
As the winds pick up, more people creep out of shadowed alleyways as they seek shelter. I instinctively check my pockets. Something about this place has me on edge. Leanna is equally anxious. While Amy's expression doesn't change, she does seem more alert than usual. Only Zach and Kara seem unaffected. Before long, we reach the inn. I let out a relieved breath as the fire crackling in the hearth warms me. Kara and Zach go to secure us rooms and food, as the rest of us sit down in a secluded back corner. Although the lobby is full of people, it's more quiet than the other inns we've frequented. Most patrons drink alone, and those in groups murmur softly, trying not to draw attention to themselves. We aroused a few curious glances when we walked in, but once we shuffled out of sight, people relaxed and forgot about us. The silence grows stifling as both Leanna and Amelia wait for the rest of the group to come back. As I'm wondering if I should say something, Leanna addresses Amy.
There's something that I've been wondering since Hearthpoint, but I haven't had a chance to ask.
Amy shifts her attention to Leanna.
Your mother mentioned that it's taken you a while to get a field study approved.
Yes, that is correct. I understand that such things take time as professors want to ensure the study is a proper fit for the student, but I will admit that I am beginning to become impatient.
She sighs.
Was the process for your field study equally taxing?
Leanna shakes her head.
No, I actually got the first one I applied for.
Amy blinks, then her eyes grow wide.
You were accepted upon your first application?
Yeah.
She stares at Leanna.
Maybe the process is different for Mage Knights and Mage Casters.
Amy continues to stare. Leanna looks at me and I shrug.
Amy?
I do not understand. I have completed all the prerequisites necessary to apply for a field study. I have even attended supplementary training to increase my potential for the selection. For all intents and purposes, I should be the most ideal candidate for the mandatory field study.
Is it just your professor's recommendation that you need?
Correct, but I have been repeatedly told that the field study is not a good fit for me.
Leanna rests her head in her hands as she thinks.
Do you think it has something to do with your age?
Amy frowns.
My age should not be an eligibility factor. I have proven myself to be capable enough to study as a mage caster.
This is pretty strange. And they haven't given you a specific reason why you keep getting declined?
Amelia shakes her head.
I am quite perplexed by the situation, especially now that I understand my difficulties are not standard.
I can feel the frustration behind her words. It sounds like the Academy has it out for her, and I think she's only just started to realize that she's being treated differently. If it really shouldn't be this hard to get into a program, you should have a serious discussion with your professors when you return. Give them a chance to communicate their concerns and explain why they haven't approved you. Leanna nods.
I'm sure they have their reasons, and it would help you to know why.
Amy looks pensive as the conversation dies down. Kara and Zach soon return with bowls of food, which we quickly eat. As we push our empty bowls away, Kara drops a key into Leanna's hand.
Okay, so here's a key to our room. You can go upstairs and lay low for the rest of the night. I'll go check the shops and grab an outfit for you.
She winks at Leanna.
Don't worry, it'll still be cute.
Zach silently hands me a key for our room. What about the storm?
Oh, I'll be okay. Zach will come with me.
Zach crosses his arms.
I didn't agree to this.
Kara feigns hurt.
You mean to say that you would let a young woman venture outside into the storm, in the middle of the night, in a dangerous city all on her own?
Aww. Zach's eyebrow twitches, but he tries to remain steadfast.
Guilt-tripping me won't work.
Who knows what sort of ruffians are walking the streets as late? If they were to get the jump on me, then...
Okay, fine. I'll go with you. Jeez.
He pushes himself to his feet. Kara grins widely.
I knew you'd come around.
I'm only doing this so you can't blame anything on me later.
Kara smiles and drags Zach with her as they head towards the doors.
We'll be back soon.
We watch them exit in silence.
Well, I'm gonna call it a night.
As will I.
It is getting pretty late, and the thought of having a real bed is very tempting after having to camp out for so many nights. I think I'll turn in too. Together we head upstairs, then split into our separate rooms. I relax in my bed for a while, enjoying the peacefulness of the night as I wait to fall asleep. The pongo mysteriously emerges from somewhere and hops onto my bed. He bounces over and leans against me before finding a comfortable spot on my bed to sleep. I'm not sure how much time passes, but I eventually hear Zach return to the room and go to bed. I fall asleep not too long after. Muffled steps in the hallway pull me awake. Blinking my eyes, I look around. The sun struggles to shine through the overcast sky, making it hard to determine just what time it is. Judging by the noise from outside, I'm guessing it's well into the late morning or early afternoon. Zach's bed is empty, while the pongo snores softly by my feet. He wakes up as I carefully crawl out of bed, and after blinking bleary eyes, grins widely at me.
Hi!
Good morning. Or I guess good afternoon? Yawning widely, I push myself completely out of bed and get ready for the day. For once, we don't have an agenda we need to follow while in this town. I wonder what the others are up to, and what this city has to offer. Ready to go downstairs? The pongo shies away and buries himself in my blankets.
Boy!
Huh, that's a weird reaction. You don't want to go exploring today?
Boy!
The pongo shakes his head. I peel back the blankets until he pokes his head free. You okay?
Oi!
He grins at me and looks a little more like his cheerful self. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to go downstairs. You sure you don't want to come? He looks uneasy again and submerges back into the blankets.
Boy!
I guess he just doesn't like it here. Leaving the pongo alone, I exit my room and head for the stairs. Before I reach them, I hear a strange noise coming from above. Ah. Is there an attic in this place? I've seen horror films. Let's investigate. I tiptoe towards where I heard the noise and find a pull-down staircase already lowered. As I get closer, I recognize the noise as a series of hushed poise. Oh my goodness. What is this nonsense here? The poise cease as I poke my head up into the attic. Sitting in front of a card table is a large pongo, the pudgiest pongo I've encountered yet, wearing a three-piece suit and sporting a pencil mustache. A cigar hangs from his mouth. 2 pongo thugs sit on either side of the table. They all freeze and stare at me. Too shocked to react, I stare back at them. After what feels like an eternity, the pudgy pongo lowers his cigar. I better get out of here before he makes me a poifer I can't refuse. Silently, I lower myself out of the room and quickly head down the stairs. I think I know why my pongo didn't want to leave the room today. I think it's best to pretend that never happened. Shaking my head, I go downstairs to the lobby. The lobby is as busy as it was the night before, with the same number of people filling the tables. I spot Zack exactly where I expected him to be, right in front of the bounty boards. Kara nurses a drink alone at one of the tables, but I don't see Leanna or Amy anywhere. I bet Leanna's in her room. Leanna seemed pretty nervous last night. I wonder if she's still in her room. Making my way back upstairs, I knock on her door. After a moment, her voice calls out.
Who is it?
It's me.
Oh, hey.
There's a silence as I wait for her to open the door, but she doesn't. Is everything okay?
Yep. Everything's fine.
Okay. She sounds really distracted.
Sorry, I'm a little busy right now. Amy and I are kind of in the middle of something. Do you think you can come back later?
Ah, so that's where Amelia is too. Sure, sorry to disturb you. She doesn't answer. That was kind of weird. I hope she hasn't annoyed with me. I better leave her alone for now and check in later if I have time. Alright, let's talk to Kara. I plop down at the table across from Kara. She raises an eyebrow as I sit. Hey, Kara.
Hey.
She looks amused as she takes a sip of her drink. Got any exciting plans today? She shrugs. Yeah, same here. There's got to be something more exciting to do. What do you think? A sly smile spreads across her face. She throws back her drink and slams the empty mug on the table.
I think I know exactly what we should do.
Let's do this. I'm not sure I trust that look. What does she have planned? What do you have in mind?
We're going to go gambling.
Oh my. Okay. I've been lucky so far, and I don't think that luck's gonna run out anytime soon. I'm in. Kara nods approvingly.
I had a feeling you'd like my suggestion. Let's go then.
What? I follow Kara out of the inn. The streets are deserted as the clouds roil overhead. I glance cautiously at the sky. Excuse me. But Kara remains unconcerned as she surveys the shops along the streets. Finally, she stops in front of a gaudy building. Bright crystals illuminate the sign as they flash distractingly on and off. This place sticks out like a sore thumb. Kara grins as she pushes open the doors. I follow her in and blink as my eyes adjust to the dim room. Even if I hadn't known where we were going, I would have instantly recognized this place as a casino. Half of the room is lined with flashy slot machines powered by mini crystals, while the other half is filled with tables. Both players and onlookers crowd around the tables. In fact, the casino is packed with people. Clearly, the storm is not enough to keep these people from their games.
So, see anything you like?
She gestures at the tables. You pick. She weaves among the tables, taking cursory glances at each game before deciding.
Have you played Shadow Knaves?
How do you play?
The goal is to reach a numerical value of 21 with the cards you're dealt. You'll start with 2 cards, and you could choose to add cards or stand depending on what you have.
Oh, I know this game. We have a version of it back home.
Perfect! Then you'll be a pro. Ready to play?
I'm ready to win. In response, I sit down at the table and place my bet. Kara grins and does the same. After the remaining seats at the table are filled, the dealer begins the first round. He slides 2 cards face up. Although the numbers look the same, the suits of these cards are unfamiliar. I have what looks like a 7 of crystals and a 9 of... swirly dots? Looking around the table, my competitors have a total of 18, 13, 7, and 20. Hit me. My cards only add up to 16. No way will I win with that hand. Hit me. The dealer flips over another card to reveal a 5. Nice! The dealer busts, and I win this round. Kara somehow is a blackjack master and pretty much kills it every round. Some of the scowls on the other patrons deepen, and I'm glad I'm not a part of the game. They do not look happy at losing all that money. I browse a few of the other tables, and recognize the Terra versions of craps and roulette. It's funny how we have fairly similar games, although I suppose not too unexpected considering we're fairly similar worlds. Gambling is gambling. I return to the blackjack table just in time to see Kara abruptly stand.
Time to go.
But what about trying? Kara has a grin plastered on her face as she shakes her head.
Maybe next time, but I think we've had enough gambling for one day. It's time to cash out.
Not even one more game?
Really, it's about time we get going. Trust me.
She doesn't seem like she'll let up. I shrug and follow her. After cashing out, Kara hastens out of the casino. Alright, so who are we running from this time? I jog to catch up with her. Something weird is going on. So, what was that all about? Why were you in such a hurry to leave? She smiles innocently.
It was just time for us to go.
Uh-huh. You were totally up to something shady, weren't you?
I don't know what you mean.
Sure. I bet you were counting cards. Look, that's not illegal, guys. You're allowed to count cards when you're playing blackjack. It's frowned upon, but it is not a criminal offense, and you will be very unlikely to get kicked out. Just trust me, okay? You will not, unless you're in a really shady dive casino that's like unlicensed and they'll like cut your hands off if you win too much. You can count cards when you're playing blackjack. In fact, everyone that's successful at blackjack counts cards. So go ahead and do that. Learn how to do it.
Oh, you noticed?
Wait, what?
What?
That's just being resourceful. That's really impressive. You're using your skill set to up the odds in your favor. Kara seems pleased.
Thank you. I'm happy you understand.
I give credit where it's due. Besides, it's not like that giant business will miss the money anyway.
It's true. There are a few people I could think of who could put that money to better use.
Like us? You mean like orphans? Kara whips her head around and stares at me with wide eyes. More specifically, those orphans back at Stonecrest.
How'd you know about that?
I saw you there. I wanted to share my money with them too. Her expression softens.
You gave them money too.
I nod. I felt bad for them.
Yeah. They were just trying to survive in the only way they knew how. I thought if I shared my reward with them, maybe they'll find a way where they won't need to steal again.
Well, now I feel guilty only giving a portion of my reward. She laughs.
Your heart was in the right place.
So what should we do now? A mischievous grin spreads across her face.
Let's go to another casino.
I laugh. This could only be trouble. I follow her to another casino where we go through the same routine. After winning big again, we part ways and I head back to the inn. Let's talk to Zach. I approach Zach at the boards. He's still there? How can you possibly be staring at... We went to 2 casinos. Come on, man. Get a grip on yourself. Hey. He glances at me, then nods in acknowledgement. See anything good?
Yes, actually.
I look at the boards and let out a breath of surprise. Whereas most of the boards at the inn only have a few flyers pinned at a time, this board is covered in wanted posters. Whoa, that's a lot of bounties. Zach grins.
Check out the payout on these things.
He points to a poster of a scarred man with a grizzled face and deep frown. Underneath his mugshot lists a number with more zeros than what has ever existed in my bank account. Damn! Zack nods. I can't help myself as I continue to scan the board, taking note of the offered bounties. Zack grins as he throws my words back at me.
See anything good?
All the money. I point to one of the highest offered rewards. That looks pretty tempting to me.
Yep.
All the mercenaries should just come to Wolf's Den and check out the bounty board here.
A lot of them do.
Really?
Why do you think this inn is so full?
I look around the inn again. That would explain why so many patrons are just people drinking alone. One such man pushes himself unsteadily to his feet and sways over to the board. He leans in until his nose is nearly touching one of the posters, then nods in satisfaction. As he's about to stumble away, he pauses when he sees Zack. He stares at him for an uncomfortably long time.
Hey, don't I know you?
Zack barely bats an eye.
No.
The drunk is undeterred and comes closer. He peers at Zack again, trying to get his eyes to focus. Zack steps back as the man nears. Suddenly, the man straightens up excitedly.
No way. You're the Death Slinger.
The what? Death Slinger? At the mention of the name, the inn falls silent. Then, tendrils of whispers begin to snake around us.
You're mistaken.
Zack's expression is stonier than usual, but the drunk is unfazed.
I never thought I'd see you here. But it makes sense. Everybody makes it to Wolf's Den sooner or later.
You have the wrong guy.
The drunk squints and shakes his head.
It must be you. A trench coat, scar over one eye.
The whispers increase into hurried murmurs as all eyes fall on us. The drunk thinks for a second.
But do you have purple dischargers too?
He reaches towards Zack's holstered dischargers, but Zack smoothly steps away.
If I were the Death Slinger, would you really want to piss me off?
Zack's icy warning causes the inn to fall silent again. The drunk sways precariously as the muddled gears in his head turn. Then understanding finally dawns.
Oh, right. I'll leave you alone.
As the man stumbles back to his table, Zack sits down at an empty table in the corner. I silently follow, feeling the weight of everyone's gaze. When I sit down, Zack glares at the people around us, which causes them to quickly turn back to their tables and resume whatever they were doing. Many of them seem suddenly very interested in their drinks. Zack doesn't seem inclined to talk, but the silence is stifling. So, are you the Death Slinger? Zack just fixes me an unamused look. I guess humor was not the way to go to break the ice. The innkeeper walks over and places 2 drinks on the table. Zack looks at him and he quickly speaks.
On the house, we don't want any trouble here.
Zack nods and takes a sip from one of the drinks.
Thanks.
A look of relief washes over the innkeeper's face as he walks away. Gradually, life returns to the inn as people lose interest in us. So who exactly is the Death Slinger?
He's a mercenary.
Most mercenaries don't silence an entire inn at the mention of their name.
You're right.
He takes another drink. Come on, man. I wait for him to continue, but he doesn't. I don't think I'll be getting any more out of him now. Since things have begun to feel more normal, I relax a bit and take a sip of my drink. Zack and I quietly finish the rest of our drinks. Although his stony frown has lessened, I think it'd be best to give him some space. I say my goodbyes and leave the table. I decide to spend the rest of my time alone. I relax at one of the tables by myself, observing the people and enjoying my free time. It's not too often that I can have some alone time, and with the storm outside, I'm entitled to feel a little lazy. The rest of the afternoon passes by uneventfully. With the dark clouds outside, it's hard to judge the time of day, but the skies seem to be darkening. I wonder if Leanna's done with whatever she was doing earlier. I haven't seen her leave her room all day. I decide to see if she's free. As I approach her room, I knock on her door. Leanna? There's a pause, then a scuffling sound.
Yes?
You okay in there?
Yep. Fine.
Have you had a chance to look around yet? Maybe we could go check out the shops.
Well, it's getting kind of late, isn't it? Might be better to stay inside.
What in the world are they doing together? Sure, do you want to come downstairs and we can get something to eat? There's a pause again.
You know, I'm not very hungry. I think I'll stay here for now. Thanks.
I narrow my eyes. Is it just me, or is Leanna acting a little weird? Are you sure everything's okay in there? Leanna opens the door a crack and pokes her head out. Her smile is a little too bright.
Yep, just peachy. Sorry. I'm just feeling a little tired. Nothing to worry about.
Aha. She's about to close the door, but I push to keep it open as my scarf is caught in the doorway. Wait! I push on the door to yank my scarf out. The door swings wide open, revealing Leanna's new outfit. Oh, hello. She throws her arms around herself to cover up.
Don't look!
My jaw drops as I take in all of her outfit. What little there is of it. That's not really a style I'd have pegged you for, but it's not bad. Leanna tries to cover as much as possible.
I didn't choose this. Kara brought this back for me.
Is this why you've been hiding in your room?
I can't go anywhere dressed like this. It's best if I just stay here until the storm is past.
It's really not that bad. Leanna just gives me a look. If you don't like it, then we can go to the shops and get you something else.
Okay, let me change and then we can go.
I thought you couldn't wear your regular armor. Leanna blinks.
I can't go out dressed like this, though.
Your armor will draw more attention. At least this outfit helps you blend in. She looks uncomfortable. Honestly, it isn't that bad. Besides, we don't know how long the storm is going to last. What if you have to spend days cooped up in that room? Leanna frowns as she thinks about it, then sighs.
I suppose you're right. Alright, we can go, but let's make it quick.
Okay. Gathering her courage, Leanna leaves the room, and the two of us head downstairs. Nobody pays us any extra attention as we exit the inn. I squint up at the thick clouds. There is light rain. We better hurry if we don't want to get caught in a downpour. We make our way down the alleyway. Leanna still gets attention, although not the same as before. She seems annoyed by the sharp whistling from leering men. I wonder if I should step in.
Hey there, baby.
What did you call me?
Leanna grabs the man by the collar and slams him against a wall.
What the hell?
Go on, call me baby again. I dare you.
Leanna's grip on the man's collar tightens as he's pinned securely against the wall. She must be using her wind magic to be able to keep a man twice her size immobilized with barely a struggle. Leanna continues to watch him with challenging eyes, daring him to catcall her again. The man stays silent as he tries to break free. Leanna finally lets go and tosses him to the side. He falls to the ground with a loud thud.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, punk. The man picks himself up and scrambles away.
You crazy bitch!
Yeah, and don't you forget it!
A crowd of shocked onlookers stare at Leanna.
What are you looking at?
They quickly look away and resume walking. Satisfied, Leanna looks at me with a smile.
Shall we continue?
Damn, lady, you scary. Let's go. I nod. We continue down the street and reach the shops. Even though it's well into the evening, all of the storefronts are still open. I guess this is one of those cities that never sleeps. Leanna and I enter the first clothing shop we find. Yes, look at all of the clothing here. Look at all of the clothing we have on sale here. We've got a hat. We've got pyramids. We've got books that you can wear to cover up your junk. We've got crystals. Yeah, all of the clothing is right here. She browses the racks, but her face becomes more aghast with every outfit she picks up. She holds up a piece of fabric so short, I can't figure out if it's supposed to be a top or a skirt.
I don't think we'll find anything here. Let's go somewhere else.
Maybe she can look among the men's clothes. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of cloaks. I follow Leanna out of the store and into the next one. As she browses the selection, she seems even more disappointed, as each outfit is skimpier than the last. After checking out a couple more shops with no luck, we enter the last shop on the street. Oh, an armory. Leanna checks out the racks again, then tracks down the shopkeeper.
Excuse me. Do you have any armor?
Absolutely.
He rummages through the clothing before pulling out what is essentially just a metal bra and thong. Leanna can't hide her horror as the shopkeeper smiles triumphantly.
Here you go.
How is that armor?
What do you mean? It's metal. That means it can protect you.
But what about the rest of me?
He's about to retort, but is left speechless as her words sink in.
You know, I'd never even thought about that before.
Do you have anything with a little more coverage?
The shopkeeper returns to the racks and picks out another metal bra and underwear.
How about this?
How is that better?
Whoa!
I'm so done with this place!
Realizing that this is a fruitless search, Leanna fumes out of the shop and I follow close behind. She looks down at her outfit and sighs.
It's hard to believe, but I think Kara picked out the most modest outfit available in this place.
Looks like it.
I guess she knows me a little better than I thought.
As we pass a darkened storefront on our way back to the inn, two men melt from the shadows and approach us.
Excuse me, are those manipulators on your wrist?
Leanna and I glance at each other and then back at the men.
Why do you ask?
The second man speaks.
We have an offer which may be interesting to you.
Exactly. As magic users, power in your craft is essential. Luckily for you, we happen to know a secret technique to amplify your casting usage to your fullest potential, no matter the skill level.
What's the technique? The first man hands me a card. The Den at Wolf's Den is written in curly letters.
Meet us at that location tomorrow morning, and all will be revealed.
Leanna narrows her eyes.
How do we know this is legitimate?
The second man smiles.
Your skepticism is understandable, but we've gone through this exact training and can personally guarantee results.
You're mages? Where are your manipulators?
I glance at their empty wrists. Leanna brings up a good point.
Right here.
He lifts his hand and points to the crystal inlaid ring on his finger. Leanna's mouth drops open in surprise, but she quickly composes herself.
Your manipulator is a ring?
The man flashes the same mysterious grin.
Be there tomorrow morning and all will be revealed.
Yes. They hand Leanna a card, too, then disappear back into the alley. Leanna watches them retreat, a stern look on her face. You've got solicitors in this world, too? It really is impossible to escape them. She barely seems to register what I'm saying. Leanna? She blinks.
Huh?
That was pretty weird, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
I begin to throw the card away when Leanna stops me.
Wait! We need that!
We do?
How else will we find them tomorrow morning?
Wait, we're going to meet those guys? She nods. Are you sure that's a good idea? It seems like whatever they're selling is really shady.
It definitely is. And that's why we need to go. What if their secret technique is dangerous?
Do you think the technique is even effective? She shrugs.
Probably not. If it were so easy to become powerful, then everyone would do it. Besides, there's no way those rings are actual manipulators. It's impossible to condense the amount of energy needed for casting into such a tiny crystal. Something doesn't add up.
It does seem a little too good to be true. She nods and pockets the card. The crack of thunder interrupts us. We should get back.
Yeah.
Excuse me. We hurry back to the inn. My goodness. We hurry back to the inn. I spot Kara and Zack at a table, and we join them. Zack smirks when he sees Leanna.
Nice outfit.
Leanna's cheeks flush.
I don't want to talk about it.
Kara grins widely.
Oh, don't be shy. You've got to own it.
Leanna's blush deepens as she quickly changes the subject.
We were just out and ran into some strange men promising us unimaginable power.
She pulls out their card and places it on the table.
They said to meet them there tomorrow.
Zack and Kara study it.
I've never seen this before.
I have. They recruited me too.
Leanna blinks.
But you aren't a mage. They were looking for magic casters. Why did they recruit you?
Zack shrugs.
Something about being a valuable asset? I wasn't really listening.
We're going to go meet them tomorrow morning. Leanna nods.
Same here.
What? Really? Leanna looks equally surprised.
Sure.
Why? I thought you weren't listening.
I wasn't. But from what I did hear, it sounds like a scam for money. Money which should be liberated from them for the greater good.
Why am I not surprised?
All right, let's meet up there tomorrow morning and go together.
Zack nods. As if on cue, Amy joins the group.
Greetings. Have we all gathered here to partake in supper?
That's a pretty good idea. I could go for some food.
I nod. Same here. We order some food and sit together to eat. As we eat, Amelia looks intently from Kara to Leanna. Leanna shifts uncomfortably.
Is there something wrong, Amy?
There seems to be an undeniable trend in the clothing both you and Kara are wearing. Perhaps I should be wearing something similar.
Kara becomes stern.
We need to have a talk about what is and isn't appropriate for you to wear, young lady.
The irony of that statement is not lost on me.
Should I be, I feel like I should not be in part of this conversation at all. But... meh. I shrug while the rest of the team fusses over Amelia. There's no way I'm gonna get in the middle of that. Yeah. Yeah. I remember the last time I suggested we have Amelia seduce the guy, and wow, did everyone jump down my throat. Not getting involved again. Not getting involved. Once the team has calmed down and talked Amy out of purchasing an outfit, we finish the rest of our meals. Leanna reminds Zack and me to meet downstairs in the morning, then we all retire to bed. After getting changed, I fall into my bed and drift to sleep. Alright. I am a fool. I am a sleepy, sleepy fool. Okay? And you know what? I am going to call this one a video here. It's been roughly an hour and a half, I think? Somewhere around there? I think that's a good length for a video. This game has turned out to be somewhat longer than I expected it to be, so I'm trying to make the videos a bit longer to compensate for that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching, and I will see you guys all next time. Peace out, everyone.